All right, so today is what feels like D-Day. I'm having my neuropsychologist cognitive assessment, which I got told goes for about 2.5 hours of continuous testing. And I am generally shitting bricks. I had a dream last night that I was running late to it, and I was in the car and I was trying to drive, and I was just going around in circles and I couldn't figure out how to drive. I think that is a perfect analogy of how I'm feeling. But yeah, I ended up having a counselling session with, I changed psychologist. So I'd been seeing a psychologist since sort of end of last year, or start of this year, whatever it was, and he was great. He was fantastic. There's no issue with him. It was more just I felt like I needed someone who specialised in dementia, and I found someone, and they're actually a clinical neuropsychologist, and she actually used to work for the people who like just only the last few months or so used to work for the people who diagnosed me. So she knew the team already, etc. But she told me yesterday when I was having a chat with her, she goes, yeah, this testing today is going to be really important. And I kind of just feel like this is going to determine whether or not I've actually got dementia. That's the way I see it. I don't know. Well, I don't know how I feel about that even. Part of me is worried that, yeah, it needs to be accurate. But I'm going to go in with my dad and my mum. They're going to drive, primarily because I'm just worried about me driving after that. I know I'll be exhausted. They're also going to ask Dad questions as well. I've updated my notes that I took in when I saw the geriatrician, and I've updated those notes and made sure they're all sort of ready. I forgot to print them out, which I was going to give to the neuropsychologist, but it's all right. I can just show her on my phone or email it to her or whatever. But I'm not going to lie, I am actually really quite scared, to be honest. This will be like my chance to sort of get an answer. I feel I'm just going to have to go in there and just try and ace it. In a sense, I'm going to have to go in there and just try my hardest. I mean, it's not aceable, but I need to be able to walk away from this just going, okay, that's the best I've got, and then leave it to them to. Then they've got, they've got the most accurate information possible. Yeah, I just sort of wanted to tell you, let's just jump on camera first, because I thought if you're a person going through this, you might find it beneficial to see somebody in the moment of what they're feeling, what they're thinking like before the session. The neuropsychologist yesterday said to me, she goes, look, yeah, like good luck tomorrow, and it will be nerve-wracking and stuff, and try and get some sleep tonight, and I think that's probably, I think it's good that they acknowledge that you're going to be stressed. It makes me just feel like, hey, it's all normal, everything's fine, how I'm sort of responding right now is normal. Yeah. So clearly I was freaking out yesterday. I was petrified. And so I thought I'd just talk about what actually happened. And I was hoping to do this, I guess, after the session at some point, but I was just too exhausted. My parents took me out for lunch, and then I went back home and I just went to sleep. But I turned up at 9:30, and it was with a neuropsychologist who, is it registrar, is it the word? You know, when they're not quite fully qualified. But she was great, and she just said that, because I was there with my dad, and she said, look, this will probably take, a few hours, come back at sort of 12 o'clock. And so he nicked off, and then I think the first 20 minutes we just talked about the symptoms that I was experiencing since getting diagnosed 12 months ago, and how things may have changed. And so I just went through my list that I'd sort of pre-prepared, and then we went into the cognitive testing phase, where that actually ended up going for, I think I finished that at about 12:30. So my reflections of it all were that I felt like I did quite well in it. That's how I feel. And it's really hard to tell whether or not, I've actually done really well. I remember 12 months ago when I did it, I walked out of there thinking, God, that was terrible. I'd performed horribly. And then I got the results back, and it was maybe like mild impairment, probably the best way of describing it. I'm not sure if that's the best way of describing it or not, but I think that was sort of better results than what I would have anticipated. I just remember feeling like I did really quite poorly with remembering words, recall words and things like that. But this time around, I felt like things were coming to my head easier than what I would have expected them to, than what I do and what I feel like in everyday life. And I think it was because I was pretty ramped up. I think when you're anxious and nervous about something, I think it can work in two ways. I feel like you can probably be a bit of a detriment, or it can sort of just make you more focused. And I felt like that was the case. I felt like I did quite well. I definitely felt like I probably went better with the language side of things, being able to remember words. And the surprising thing though is I felt like I performed poorly on remembering shapes. Because they present you with like a sheet of paper. I mean, you gotta remember, this went for 3 hours or something, whatever it was. Like, it went for a long time. So there was a lot of tasks they got you to do, but so I can't recall all of them and stuff. And my overall recollection of it all too is going to be biased towards things that I thought I did quite well on too, probably. I don't know. Because they stood out to me, and I noted them in, but I remember we had one sheet and they had images on it, and then she just okay, here you go, remember that, and then she puts it away and it gives you a piece of paper, okay, draw them out. And I just went completely blank, where usually I feel like I'm quite good with remembering visual things, I didn't sort of think that would be such an issue for me, but I felt like, at least in the testing then, I went worse than what I would have thought I would have done in that. I'm sure I didn't do, I thought I did get quite well last year. So overall it just felt, I felt like I walked away from it, and this is the interesting part, I think. I felt like I walked away from it upset. And the reason why I say that is because I wanted a true indication of how I currently am. And I actually felt like, maybe because I was pumped up or something. I felt like things were coming to mind better than what they usually do in everyday life, and I felt like it wasn't my normal performance like I normally would do now currently. I felt like it did better, and so I feel like it's the 12-month ago assessment, which I felt like was very much typical at the time, is now compared to a good performance currently. I feel like it's kind of comparing apples with oranges a little bit there. In saying that though, I don't know how sensitive these tests are to that. That could be a bit in my head, and it's not really that influenced by it anyway. And again, like with the visual stuff, I thought it definitely performed worse than last year. So some people have turned up over there, so then I got distracted, and I really sound like I hate people in these videos. I don't hate people. It's just inconvenient for me when I'm trying to do these videos. I've got no issue with people. They're fine. That's right. Another thing that I felt like, which I didn't like about the testing, was there was quite a number of times where I felt like she'd ask you to say, yeah, do you recall this? It's sort of like a yes or no response I had to give. And I just had no idea. And so saying yes or no, I just felt like I was making up, like yes, no, or was this in the phrase or something? Can I say yes, no, no, yes? Like I had to give a response, but my actual response was, I don't know. Actually, now I'm thinking about it, maybe I should be saying no to those things. But that's saying that they're not in there. I actually don't know if they're not in there though. Anyway, at the same time though, it probably doesn't. I don't think it makes any difference because they do ask you this stuff repeatedly, quite a number of times. So it should sort of even itself out anyway. It was just something that I'd noticed when I was doing it, and I sort of said that. I sort of said, like, what do I don't know how to answer that. And she did respond. She goes, look, I take note of how you sort of, your response throughout all this too, not just your actual responses, but also how you look like you're coping with it all and stuff like that. And so it all falls under that, under the evaluation umbrella. And then at the same time too, I also felt like I did perform quite badly with some of the language stuff. Like remembering a list of words, and then she asked me to remember this list of words like 5 times or 6 times, or it was a lot of times. And I felt like she was speaking, I felt like she was reading out a different list of words. So I clearly didn't remember the list of words. So I don't know, I'm so confused by how I feel like I performed. But definitely overall impressions was I felt like I performed better than what I would have thought I would have performed. And the other way of looking at all this too is going, well, it's actually really good. Like if it's testing my cognitive abilities, and my cognitive abilities are quite good, then under the gun I can do it. So I haven't deteriorated too much then. I've literally got these beautiful dogs around me right now. Oh, this one's right next to me. They did ask for, like, there was certain tasks that felt more like intelligence kind of questions, and I just felt really dumb doing them. Getting to recreate shapes using these little cubes with images on them. Yeah, just, brings you back to primary school feeling really dumb. And it was exhausting. I was just knackered by the end of it, which is, I think anyone would be knackered by the end of it, whether or not you got dementia or not. Anyway, but she said it's going to take her probably 3 to 4 weeks to give her report to the doctors. and then at that time they'll contact me and book an appointment. So I'm guessing that could be even another month away. So I probably won't know any results for maybe 2 months. I don't know, I'm guessing. I'm not sure how quickly the doctors can get me in to see them, but so I'm now just going to have to be in that limbo land of thinking, you know, how did I go? What does it all mean? For quite some time, and I hate that. I hate it so much. This not knowing stuff really does my head in. So, but you can't do anything about it. That's the way it is. But I will be surprised if it comes back that I performed worse than last time. I will be surprised with that. At the same time, though, I was surprised by how bad I could recall words. I felt like I was good at recognition. I felt like the recognition part was fine. So it's like it's in there. I just can't get it out. Anyway.
Daybreak, I'm already miles away, and there's nothing left to say.